Hello and welcome to Now Go See It. I'm Tony. Today we're on the Norwegian Dawn in the Indian Ocean off the coast of Africa. We're going to take you on an unbiased tour of the entire Norwegian Dawn cruise ship. We're going to show you the best places to eat, talk about the shows, talk about the entertainment, talk about the activities on board, and give you everything you need to know to enjoy your ride on the Norwegian Dawn. Hello and welcome aboard the Norwegian Dawn. I just checked into my room, finally inside, and boy, what an adventure it has been today. It all started with a cyclone in the Indian Ocean that came directly towards the island of Mauritius and the nearby island of Reunion. That closed the airports here, made it impossible for me and my fellow cruise travelers to get in. Fortunately, I planned to come 2 days early, so was able to spend 2 extra nights in Paris and still make it on time for cruise departure. Unfortunately, the cruise documentation was very unclear that was sent in advance about the location of the port. The address, when you search it on Google Maps, came up with absolutely nothing, and the Google Maps link that they provided linked to just coordinates and really an unclear way to get to the port. So unfortunately, my taxi driver took me to the wrong port, but he was cool and was happy to take me around the entire other side of the port, which was a 25-minute drive in traffic to the correct destination. So that was kind of a bummer, but we got in, checked into the cruise area, which it was a gigantic tent. Unfortunately, the cruise infrastructure here on Mauritius Island is not so great. Not really something you can blame Norwegian Cruise Line for. They did their best to make it comfortable in the gigantic hot tent in the outdoors by giving out water and having some large air conditioning units blasting. But still, even with all those added features that Norwegian added to try and make it more comfortable, it was extremely uncomfortable to wait in line. The line did move very quickly though, and we were able to get through that portion very quickly. Then you sat in a chair for about 15 minutes until your number was called and you went on board the ship. Somehow there was some other confusion when I went on board and I didn't do something right. I walked through security and gave them my passport and then proceeded to my room, which is what I thought we were supposed to do. The room wasn't ready, which is a pretty normal thing when you arrive on a cruise ship. They're still cleaning from the previous cruise guests. So the door was closed and the sign was up that said, "Please don't enter." So I took myself and my bags up to the top deck and just kind of hung out and checked out the view. And that's when the cruise director came on board and started politely asking, I guess, to complete your muster drill check-in. And I was very confused because, to my knowledge, people weren't even in their staterooms yet. I assumed that the key to the stateroom would be in a little envelope on the door, which I'm pretty sure is something that happens on cruise lines. Maybe I'm making that up, but I swear that I've done that before where you go to your room and your key card is just waiting outside and the door is open. But maybe I'm crazy, that's what I assumed would happen. So after her announcement telling everyone that you had just 20 minutes to check into your muster station, I was very confused because my room wasn't even ready. I don't know how I could check into my muster station without my key card. So I started looking around and it seemed like a lot of people had their key cards. So I went down to my room and see if it was maybe ready, and I just missed the announcement. As I headed out, there was an announcement that said all the rooms are clean. So I figured, great, I'll run down, grab my key, check into my muster station real quick, and I'll be good to go. But when I got there, still no key at the door. So I was very confused. As I was walking out, I met another couple that was walking down the hallway, and I asked them, "Hey, how did you get your key?" And she looked at me cross-eyed and said, "What do you mean you don't have a key?" I said, "I don't know, I don't have a key. How did you get your key?" She's like, "They gave it to me at check-in." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, I didn't get a key at check-in." So I had to go down to guest services and waited in a line for almost 30 minutes for them to get me a key to my room. Apparently I was supposed to go to the restaurant and check in as soon as I got on board, but there was literally no one around to ask any questions, no staff anywhere. It was really awful. Even now, when I was trying to find my muster station, no one around. I walked out there, tried to check in, there's nobody there, completely clear. Nobody in the hallways, nobody anywhere to ask any questions whatsoever. I'm glad that this wasn't my first cruise, because if this was my first cruise, I would have been extremely confused. Fortunately, I'd done a bunch of these and knew what to do and where to go, but boy, it was very confusing, very unfriendly, very unwelcoming. It's by far the worst ever embarkation process I've ever had. So I still haven't checked into my muster station, which apparently I had 20 minutes to do what I waited in line at guest services, more than 20 minutes. And I asked the woman at guest services if I could still check in my muster station. She said, "Oh, of course you can." But no one was there. So I don't know, I guess they're gonna come hunt me down and yell at me for not doing the muster station. I don't know. I don't know what to do. And like I said, there's no one around to ask. So I'm just gonna unpack my bags and go on with my life until someone says, "Hey, this is how you put on a life jacket." So that's that. All right, well, before I make a big mess of things, I'm going to give you a tour of my stateroom. I'm on deck 8. This is an interior cabin because I'm poor, because we don't have enough subscribers to afford my luxurious lifestyle. So if you haven't subscribed yet, just click that button. It's a small but comfortable room, as you can see. I'm going to flip this camera around. You've got a double bed, 2 pillows for each station, 2 nice little end tables on both sides with storage under them. Beautiful artwork that just screams tropical vacation. This room also has a bunk bed that comes down. Got a tiny little TV where I can watch the ship as it goes. Got a telephone so I can call home and all my friends. A little bit of a mini bar situation menu there. A little table to do all of my dining. And this is my makeup station. You got my hair dryer right there to get the right puff going. Got some outlets there. Got plenty of closet space here. We've got this big closet, which is where I'll find my life jackets that I don't know how to use because I skipped the muster drill. Got enough hangers here, a little ladder in case I want to get up taller. Plenty of storage here and a little safe down there to keep my valuables. And the refrigerator. Oh, look at this. This is where I can get some delicious water for the low price of $6.50. What a value. And looks like some drawers. Little stool there. Speaking of which, we've got the bathroom. It's actually much bigger than a lot of these stateroom bathrooms I've had before. You've got the old commode for doing the business, a handle there in case you're doing your business and it gets real rocky. Got some towels. Pretty basic amenities in here. Pretty sizable shower, if I must say, and all kinds of good stuff there. So yeah, much bigger than a lot of the cruise ship bathrooms that I've had in the past. So not bad at all. Overall, pleased with the room.
Let's talk about the free food on board the Norwegian Dawn, because if you're like me, one of the biggest reasons you're on a cruise is for the food. And let's be honest, the more included the better. There are 2 main dining rooms on the ship, Venetian and Aqua. Both are included in the cruise fare and serve dinner every night. The Venetian also opens up for breakfast and occasionally lunch or high tea. Both are traditional sit-down restaurants with waiters, menus, and cloth napkins. You can dine just with your group, or if you're feeling social, you can ask to be seated with other cruisers and maybe make some cruise friends. If you're walking in, you can usually get a table, but I'd suggest booking a time in advance, especially if you've got evening shows or other plans lined up. The menu at both spots is split into classic entrees, which are the same every night. Think classic steak, chicken, pasta dishes, and featured entrees, which change daily. These can be anything from pad thai to bratwurst, depending on the night. Same deal for appetizers and desserts. Some items repeat, others rotate. And yes, you're welcome to try multiple options from each section. You can be as polite or as greedy as you want here. Overall, dinner in the main dining rooms was good. I wasn't let down by any of the meals, but I also wasn't blown away. The food was just fine. It's cruise ship food at a decent standard. You're not getting any Michelin-starred anything, but you're also not walking away hungry. Overall, I'd rate it just okay.
Meh.
I did check out the Venetian for breakfast a couple of times. Personally, I don't think it's worth it. The menu is small and not particularly exciting. One morning I ordered what was described as huevos rancheros, and it was one of the most disgusting things I've ever been served on a cruise ship. It had ground beef on it. It was enough for me to do breakfast at the buffet for the rest of the trip. Speaking of the buffet, or the Garden Cafe as it's known on board, it's open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and even late night snacks. They close it briefly between meals to reset the food, but otherwise it's pretty much there all day. Don't let the name fool you. There's no garden in sight. They could have just called it the Deck 12 Food Zone and it would have been more accurate. Breakfast here is actually pretty good. They've got fruit, eggs, pastries, oatmeals, and a chef making omelets to order if you don't mind waiting. Lunch and dinner bring the usual suspects: pizza, burgers, hot dogs, sandwiches, and salads. But you'll also find some international dishes mixed in. Some of the food served in the main dining room shows up on the buffet, just served from trays with tongs instead of by a waiter with gloves. So if you're not feeling up for the full dining room routine, you're not missing much by eating here instead. Overall, the food on the buffet lived up to my expectations. I'd say I'd give it a thumbs up. Then there's Ocean's Bar and Grill. This place is open most of the time and serves pub food like burgers, Reubens, wings, and nachos. It's good for lunch or that weird hour when you don't feel like walking to the buffet. But the service here, not my favorite. Every time I went, something was off. wrong order, missing items, or they'd just bring everything out at once like they were trying to clear the table before I even started. I get that it's included and I wasn't paying for it, but still, it was a little frustrating. While the food at Oceans was good overall, the service makes me have to give it a thumbs down. Out by the pool, there's Bimini Grill, which serves up burgers, fries, and hot dogs. Nothing groundbreaking here, it's what you'd expect. They also have a rotating ice cream station, which became a little daily ritual for me. It's convenient if you're hanging out by the pool and don't want to put shoes on. That's it for the free dining. We'll talk about the paid specialty options in a moment, but if you're trying to cruise on a budget or just don't feel like throwing down for extra meals, you won't go hungry. There's plenty to eat. And while it's not the best food you'll ever have in your life, it sure gets the job done. Let's talk about the paid dining options on the Norwegian Dawn, because while the included food is decent, if you're celebrating something, want a nicer meal, or just got sick of buffet trays, there are quite a few options to upgrade. I'll start with Cagney's Steakhouse. This is their American-style steakhouse with white tablecloths, a long wine list, and prices to match. The cover charge here is $60 per person, and for that you'll get to pick from a menu of classic steakhouse favorites: filet mignon, ribeye, crab cakes, truffle fries, and so on. It's probably the best dinner on the ship, but it's also the priciest, so keep that in mind if you're traveling with a group. Right next to it is Moderno Churrascaria, which is a Brazilian-style steakhouse. If you've ever been to Fogo de Chao or any of those spots, you know the drill. You start with a salad bar that's basically a buffet of fancy toppings and cured meats, and then the meat parade begins. People walk around with meat skewers, stop by your table offering slices of beef, lamb, pork, chicken, and sausages. They'll keep coming until you wave the white flag. The cover here is $50, and I left feeling like I got my money's worth. Don't overdo it at the salad bar or you'll regret it 3 meats in. Le Bistro is their French restaurant. This one is also $60, and it's where they really try to go upscale. Think escargot, duck à l'orange, filet and red wine sauce. The vibe is romantic date night, which is kind of funny when you're sharing a ship with 2,000 people and someone is wearing a souvenir t-shirt in the booth behind you. But that aside, the food was solid, not mind-blowing, but definitely better than the main dining room. The dessert options are more interesting than anywhere else. I wouldn't say it's a must-do, but if you're into French food and want to feel fancy for the night, it does the trick. Teppanyaki is the hibachi-style place. You sit around a big grill while a chef does all the usual spatula flipping, egg juggling, and onion volcano type stuff. If you've never been to a hibachi place before, this is probably going to be fun. If you've been to Benihana, this is basically the same thing, just with a cruise ship logo on the napkins. It's $60 per person, which feels a bit steep for what it is, but you do get a full multi-course meal with shrimp, chicken, steak, and rice, plus some jokes and flying shrimp tails. You'll be seated with strangers, so be ready to make small talk while your chef draws a smiley face with mustard on the grill. Then there's Sushi and Bamboo, a taste of Asia. Both are on deck 7, and both are $50 per person. I'm lumping them together because honestly, unless you're a diehard sushi fan, you probably only need to try one. Bamboo is more of a Pan-Asian fusion place. They have noodle dishes and some dim sum style starters. I thought the menu looked more interesting here than at the sushi bar. If you're craving Asian food that isn't just soy sauce on vegetables, Bamboo is worth a look. Los Lobos Cantina is their Mexican restaurant. This one's on deck 12 and runs $40 per person, which is one of their cheaper specialty options. The menu has things like guacamole made tableside, carne asada, enchiladas, and tacos that they clearly want you to believe are upscale. I didn't have high hopes, but I actually liked it. The flavors are bold, maybe a little over the top in a let's put chipotle mayo on everything kind of way, but the portions were big and the margaritas, which are extra, were strong. If you're into Tex-Mex, this will scratch the itch. Lastly, La Cucina is the Italian option, also $40 per person. It's a nice spot on deck 6 with a view, and the menu is what you'd expect: pasta dishes, chicken parmesan, seafood linguine, and tiramisu for dessert. The food tasted pretty similar to what you might get at a mid-range Italian chain back on land. Not bad, not exciting. If you want to sit down for a quieter meal with pasta and wine and not drop $60, this is the good pick. But if you're already doing the main dining room and garden cafe, you might not find it all that different. So that's the full roundup of paid dining options on the Norwegian Dawn. There's a range in both price and quality. If you want to splurge for 1 or 2 nicer dinners during your trip, Cagney's and Moderno are probably the best value for the money. The rest are fine, but you're mostly paying for the change of scenery and not having to wait in the buffet line behind a guy stacking 12 slices of pizza on a single plate. Overall, I give the specialty dining a thumbs up. Up next, let's talk about bars. Whether you're after a margarita by the pool, a mojito with dinner, or a glass of wine while pretending to know anything about wine, Norwegian Dawn has enough bars to keep you hydrated, buzzed, or both. We'll start up top with the Bimini Bar and Grill on deck 14. This is your classic poolside bar, and it gets the job done. You're not coming here for craft cocktails, you're coming here because it's hot and you've been sitting in a deck chair for 4 hours and now you want a beer or a spritz. They also serve burgers, pizza, and grilled stuff if you don't feel like heading back inside. It's basically a lunch counter disguised as a beach bar. You'll be standing in line behind people in swimsuits dripping pool water, so don't expect a peaceful drink, but it's convenient and close by, which counts for a lot on a cruise. Down a deck you'll find Topsider's Bar and Grill. It's pretty much the same concept as Bimini, right by the pool, full bar, snacks, but in a slightly different location. If one is busy, just go to the other. These two are interchangeable, same drinks, same menu. If you're not picky, you'll be fine with either. Sugarcane Mojito Bar on Deck 13 is more specialized. As the name suggests, it's all about mojitos. Classic, flavored, some with fruit, some with weird herbs you didn't ask for. They muddle them fresh, which is nice, though it does mean your drink might take a little longer. It's a good pre-dinner stop or a nightcap kind of place. There's indoor and outdoor seating and it tends to be a little quieter than the pool bars, especially in the early evening. The coconut mojito was actually pretty good, although after 2 I didn't need a third. Also on Deck 7 is Cellars, a Michael Modave family wine bar. This one feels like a land-based wine bar was lifted straight off a street in Napa and dropped onto the ship. The menu features Modave wines and some other decent bottles. You can order by the glass or do a tasting flight. They have wine education sessions, which is just a fancy way of sitting around sipping wine while someone tells you what flavors you're supposed to be tasting. If you're a wine person, you'll love it. If you're not, you'll feel awkward trying to act like you can tell the difference between blackberry and black currant. Either way, it's air-conditioned and they give you cheese. Right across from there is Bliss Ultra Lounge, which becomes the ship's club at night. During the day, it's mostly empty except maybe for people taking origami classes. But after dinner, it turns into a full-on dance floor with flashing lights and thumping music. It's exactly what you'd expect from a cruise ship club. There's a DJ, there's a bar. If you're into that scene, it's a fun place to burn off a few dessert calories. Deck 6 is where you'll find Gatsby's Champagne Bar. This one is for when you want something a little quieter or maybe you're just trying to justify wearing your nice clothes. They serve bubbly and champagne cocktails. The vibe is more laid back. It's done up Art Deco style, lots of gold tones and mirrors. If you like the idea of sipping a French 75 while judging people walking by in shorts and Crocs, this is your place. So, final thoughts. If you're looking for a drink, you won't have to look far. Between poolside basics, a wine bar, mojito bar, sake bar, and nightclub, Norwegian Dawn covers all the standard categories. Just don't expect too much creativity in the drink menu. Most of the cocktails come from the same master list across the ship, so a rum punch at the Sugarcane is the same as the one at the pool bar. That said, the bartenders were all friendly, the pours were decent, and I never had to wait long. Overall, I give the bars a thumbs up. Let's talk about entertainment on the Norwegian Dawn, because once you've had your third meal of the day, maybe hit the bar, maybe walked in a circle on Deck 7 4 times, you'll be asking, what now? Luckily, there's something going on pretty much every night. Some of it's great, some of it's also, just going on. Let's start with Elements. This is the ship's big production show, and I'll give them credit, they went all in. It's a live stage show themed around the 4 classic elements: earth, air, water, and fire. Very Cirque du Soleil if Cirque du Soleil was doing a cruise ship residency. There's music, dance, magic, aerial stunts, and at one point someone is flying around on a wire. Another moment there's a guy making scarves disappear into a puff of smoke. It's flashy and weird and impressive. It definitely feels like the highest budget entertainment on board. That said, it also leans heavy on the interpretive side, so if you're the type of person who wants to know what the storyline is, you won't find one here. But it's fun, it's dramatic, and it beats watching karaoke finals. Speaking of audience participation, the ship also runs Deal or No Deal. Contestants get called up onto the stage, pick briefcases, and then hem and haw over whether to take the mystery offer or go in big for the prize. They sell game cards ahead of time so you can play along from the audience for a chance to get up on stage and possibly win something more exciting than a logo hat. I didn't buy a card, I just went to watch. It was fine, it runs a little long, but the audience gets into it, and the host really tries to give it Vegas energy. If you like watching strangers stress out over fake banker phone calls, this is for you. If you're more of a trivia nerd, Norwegian Dawn has you covered. Multiple trivia sessions happen every day, sometimes themed like movie quotes or geography, sometimes general knowledge. It's not always easy to find the location, it jumps around between lounges, but it's in the Freestyle daily schedule, so check there. One night was movie night and they screened Dune Part 2 in the main theater, free popcorn at the entrance. There were also other live performers brought on board during the sailing. One of the highlights for me was a magician from America's Got Talent. I don't remember his name, but he was actually pretty entertaining. He did card tricks and that mentalism stuff where he predicts what someone is thinking using an envelope and dramatic lighting. It was goofy but fun. A lot of audience volunteers, some light pickpocketing, part of the act, not a crime. Another night featured Songs from the Silver Screen, which is basically a concert of famous movie songs sung live. Think My Heart Will Go On, Skyfall, Let It Go, the hits. The singers on board are talented, and it was nice to sit back and just relax. It had a kind of cruise talent show vibe, but in a good way. Like, you realize these performers are out here every night doing costume changes and singing ballads in front of thousands of strangers, and you respect the hustle. They also had a Broadway cabaret show, some comedians, and a professional juggler. Bless his heart. Beyond that, there's live music happening in various corners of the ship almost constantly. There's usually someone playing piano in Gatsby's Champagne Bar, a guitar player near the atrium, and a band doing cover songs on Deck 13 near the pool. None of it will change your life, but it's nice to have a live soundtrack while you drink whatever drink came with your beverage package. Let's round out the entertainment section by talking about what I call the cruise core classics. These are the daytime fillers and low-budget game shows that live somewhere between summer camp and a retirement home talent show. If you've ever wondered what cruise staff does when they're not leading Zumba on the pool deck, this is it. Two of the big evening game shows run by the cruise staff are the Not-So-Newlywed Game and the 55 to Stay Alive. These are basically crowd-pleasing audience participation events where they drake up real passengers, ask them awkward questions, and let the rest of us laugh at their answers. The Not-So-Newlywed Game is the more popular one. 3 couples get asked increasingly embarrassing questions about their relationships. The longer they've been married, the more entertaining it gets. Think, where's the weirdest place you've ever done it, but in front of 300 strangers and your in-laws. There's a full schedule of daytime activities you can join or completely ignore. These are the little programming bits that pop up in lounges and open areas around the ship. On one of our sea days, there was a towel folding seminar in the atrium. Yes, towel folding, as in learning to make a swan or elephant out of your bath towel. People are into it, chairs filled up fast. A crew member folded towels into increasingly elaborate shapes while another narrated the whole thing like it was a TED Talk.
Another day was a fruit carving demonstration. A guy took a watermelon and turned it into what I think was supposed to be a rabbit, maybe a flower. Either way, it took about 30 minutes and ended with everyone clapping and taking pictures of a fruit sculpture that no one was going to eat.
Same vibes for an ice carving demonstration. They wheel out a giant block of ice to the pool deck and start chipping away while a crowd slowly gathers. It's loud, it's slippery, and by the time they're done, the sun's already halfway through melting it. There's also a daily origami lesson, which I caught one afternoon by accident. I sat down with a drink, and 5 minutes later, a staff member handed me a square of paper and said we're making tulips. Mine looked quite sad, but the other passengers were supportive, which was nice. Then there's the Mr. Legs and Mrs. Biceps contests, which are held poolside and always end in chaos. These are exactly what they sound like. Guests sign up, get cheered on by a crowd, and strut around doing their best swimsuit modeling while the entertainment staff hypes them up with a microphone. And of course, no cruise would be complete without the art auction. It's somehow both unavoidable and ignorable at the same time. There's always a giant sign in the atrium about the auction and someone with a headset talking loudly about Peter Max or a rare print. You don't need a ticket, just wander in. I stopped by out of curiosity and stayed about 10 minutes, long enough to watch someone bid $1,200 on something I wouldn't hang in a dentist's office. They also offer free champagne, but what that really means is someone hands you a Dixie cup of sparkling wine that's been open for an hour. Overall, the entertainment on Norwegian Dawn isn't going to blow your mind, but it's better than I expected. You won't be bored. Between the main stage productions, trivia, live music, and theme nights, there's something happening pretty much every hour. Whether or not it's your kind of thing is another story, but hey, it's all included. Might as well check it out. Overall, I give it a thumbs up. Let's talk about the rest of the spaces on board, the ones that don't fall neatly into food, drinks, or entertainment, but still shape your cruise experience. Some are worth checking out, some are just there.
First up, the basketball court on Deck 14. This is the netted off space up top where you can shoot hoops. It's always windy up there, so your jump shot may turn into a disaster, but people were using it. It's not exactly NBA regulation, but if you've got energy to burn or teenage kids that need a place to bounce around, it's solid. There's also a shuffleboard set up along the promenade deck where you can battle it out like you're in a Florida retirement community. You'll also find oversized checkers and chessboards. The giant chessboard in particular is more fun to pose with than actually play unless you've got someone serious about strategy. That said, if you're just trying to kill 20 minutes before dinner, it's not a bad way to do it. If you want to channel your inner PGA pro, there are 2 golf driving nets, enclosed areas where you can practice your swing without accidentally launching a ball overboard. Ping pong tables are also set up near the sports deck. The wind makes it unpredictable and the ship's movement adds an extra challenge, sort of like table tennis meets earthquake simulator. Now about the pool. There's one main rectangular pool, and it's flanked by 4 hot tubs, 2 on each side, which are usually packed with people who got there before breakfast and aren't planning to leave until the buffet closes. If you want a chance at snagging one, aim for early mornings, dinner time, or weird in-between hours. There's one more hot tub that most people never find, Deck 13 forward, near the quiet sun deck area. It's not secret per se, but it's removed enough that it doesn't get the same traffic as the main pool deck tubs.
It's usually more chill, and if you're lucky, you might get it all to yourself, especially when everyone else is at the buffet or in port. The Dawn Casino is on deck 6, and it's exactly what you'd expect from a cruise ship casino. Smoky, dimly lit, and filled with slots, blackjack tables, and the occasional very serious poker player in sunglasses who thinks he's in Vegas. If you're into gambling, it's there. They have tournaments and raffles and all that. But I just wandered through and left $10 in a damn coin pusher machine for no good reason. It's not bad, it's not great, but you're not flying to Monte Carlo here. Minimums are low, so it's easy to lose slowly. Now let's talk about the kids zones, which I didn't personally participate in, but for your information, Guppies is a space for the littlest passengers, ages 6 months to 3 years. It's not a drop-off program, it's more of a padded room full of toys where parents can sit on the floor and keep their toddlers from eating plastic blocks. If you've got kids that age, it's a useful space. If you don't, you'll probably never notice it. For older kids, there's Splash Academy for ages 3 to 12. It's got dance mats, movies, games, and a big open play area. It's a drop-off space with programming, and they really try to keep kids busy. Parents seemed into it, kids seemed happy, win-win. Entourage is the teen club, ages 13 to 17. There's music, games, and a little social hangout area. If your teenager likes structured activities, they'll be into it. If they're too cool for all that, they'll probably just disappear into the buffet and live off soft serve. The T-Rex Kids Pool is exactly what it sounds like, a little pool with dinosaur heads and water slides. If you're over 4 feet tall, you're not getting in. There's also a nearby hot tub for adults keeping an eye on their small humans. On the opposite end of the age range, the Havana Club Cigar Bar is a lounge for people who want to drink dark liquor and smoke cigars indoors like it's 1962. It's quiet, smoky, and weirdly specific. You could smell it every time I pass by. If that's your thing, you'll probably love it. If not, steer clear. The library on deck 12 is where you'll go if you want to feel intellectual for 5 minutes. They've got a selection of books, mostly well-worn paperbacks, and a nice quiet space with armchairs. It's also a good place to sneak in a nap if your cabin's being cleaned. No one talks in here, and no one cares if you're actually reading. The Pulse Fitness Center is one of the better designed spaces on board. It's a full gym with cardio machines, free weights, and group classes like spin and yoga. If you want to earn your buffet calories or pretend you're going to, this is the place. It gets crowded in the morning, and the ship is rocking, so good luck on the treadmill. But it's clean, well equipped, and a lot of people are actually using it. Also in the same area is the Spa and Thermal Suite. This is the full-service spa with massages, facials, salon treatments, everything you can expect at inflated cruise ship prices. The Thermal Suite is adults only and includes heated loungers, steam rooms, saunas, and a pool, which is a fancy salty hot tub. You pay extra for access, but if you're into spa days, it's a good way to escape the pool deck chaos. Outside, there's a jogging track that goes around deck 13. It's not very big, you'll be doing a lot of laps, but it's a place to walk without running into buffet traffic. There's also an unofficial walking path around the entirety of deck 6 that's enjoyable in the afternoon. If you're indoors and somehow not being entertained enough, you'll inevitably end up at the video arcade. It's small, loud, and full of claw machines that nobody wins. You'll easily drop $10 trying to shoot dinosaurs or win fake tickets. Last, there's the boardroom and meeting rooms, a group of small rooms named after cities where, I assume, corporate groups host PowerPoints at sea. For most passengers, these are invisible, but I did see them being used for card games and knitting groups during my sailing. So if you're trying to host a mini conference or just want a private room to argue with your family in, this is your spot. Overall, the layout of the ship and the specialty spaces, I give a thumbs up. Let's wrap this up with a look at the onboard shops, because no cruise is complete without a few overpriced souvenirs, some duty-free temptation, and that one thing you forgot to pack and now have to overpay for at sea. First up is Effie Jewelry on deck 7. This is a serious jewelry store. The place with sales associates in suits, lighting that makes everything sparkle, and diamonds staring at you through glass like they know you're not buying anything. Effie is a big name in cruise ship jewelry. With shiny signage and even shinier merchandise, you'll hear them plug it during announcements and at shopping presentations where they hype up tanzanite and other gems you'll definitely forget how to pronounce later. Then there's the Galleria shops, also on deck 7. This is the main shopping corridor on board and feels kind of like a small department store. You've got watches, handbags, sunglasses, perfume, logo wear, bathing suits, snacks, and whatever else they think cruisers might impulse buy. And there's always someone with a mic announcing a deal that ends in 10 minutes, even though it'll be back again tomorrow. If you forgot something or need a new hat, this is your stop. Tradewinds is basically an extension of the Galleria, also on deck 7, with more focus on watches, brand name jewelry, and gift items. It's a place where they try to make you believe that a $400 watch is an incredible cruise deal because it comes with a free travel case and no tax. If you've got onboard credit to burn or just want to buy yourself something shiny to remember the trip, you'll probably find something here. If not, enjoy the free cologne samples and keep moving. Park West Gallery is the onboard art gallery, and you've seen their signs everywhere. Even if you've never set foot in the gallery, you'll definitely get invited to the art auctions, which feel like half game show, half wine tasting, half infomercial. Yes, that's 3 halves, but that's how these things feel. They auction off everything from Peter Max to Picasso, seriously, and the staff really lays it on thick. There's always a one-night-only deal and a speech about investment potential. You don't need to be a buyer to attend. Anyone who walks in gets a free print, so it's worth it for that if you're collecting cruise freebies. Then there's the photo gallery, which is the epicenter of your onboard paparazzi experience. Norwegian has photographers wandering around constantly, at dinner, on the gangway, at every formal night. They upload your photos to their system and then display them at the gallery like it's a middle school yearbook. You can view them on screens or print it out, and then if you find a good one, they'll happily sell it to you for a price that feels like it should include a custom frame and a backstory. They also sell photo accessories, magnets, and souvenir frames that say Norwegian Dawn 2025, in case you need proof for your coffee table that you actually went on this trip. Lastly, if you're into binoculars, mobile gear, and miscellaneous cruise stuff, the photo gallery has that too. Need a waterproof phone case? They've got that too. Want a keychain with the ship on it? That's here too. It's a weird hybrid of photography store and souvenir shop. So yeah, if you're looking for cruise merch, forgot to pack something, or just feel like spending money for fun, they make it easy to buy and even easier to justify by calling it duty-free, even though we all know it's mostly about the convenience. Still, it's nice to know that if you suddenly need a bracelet, beach hat, or a Picasso, you're covered.
Disembarkation on Norwegian Dawn wasn't nearly as chaotic as Embarkation, but only because I planned ahead. I got up early and was one of the first people off the ship so I could make the most of my 24 hours in Cape Town. Lines piled up fast, so if you're not early, expect delays.
Hi, is this just the way out?
This is the,
As for the cruise overall, it's a mixed bag. The ship itself is easy to enjoy, common areas are well laid out, there's no shortage of entertainment, and there's always something going on. Trivia, origami, random game shows, and Broadway-style performances gave it plenty of life. The pool deck was well used, the specialty dining options offered some variety, and there were more quiet hangouts than I expected. But the food in the main dining room and buffet were underwhelming. Occasionally solid, but mostly forgettable. Worse, the overall organization was a mess. Uninformed staff, poor communication, and a confusing embarkation process set a bad tone from the start. And while a few crew members were fantastic, too many seemed indifferent or just going through the motions. Still, despite those issues, I had a good time. The fun factor carried the experience, and the ship's design made it easy to relax or stay busy when I wanted. Final verdict, thumbs up, with some room for improvement on food and operations.
And that wraps up our time on the Norwegian Dawn. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more great videos just like this. And don't forget you can visit our website, nowgoseeit.com, for port guides for this cruise, plus other great destinations from around the world.